around the world and across Nigeria. If you just joined us, this is still Enterprise Morning on Enterprise Television. And now to our main conversation for today. Meeting on the ongoing negotiations on new minimum wage has been adjourned till Wednesday after the organized labor rejected the new 54,000 naira minimum wage proposal by the federal government. The federal government upped its offer from its earlier proposed 48,000 naira to 54,000 naira. Tuesday's meeting came as a result of the walkout staged by members of the organized labor following the proposal of 48,000 naira as minimum wage by the federal government during last week's meeting. Organized labor on Monday reiterated its May 31, 2024 deadline for the implementation of the new minimum wage. The national president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero, insisted on 615,000 naira minimum wage, arguing that the amount was arrived at after an analysis of the current economic situation and the needs of an average Nigerian family of 6. And still in the studios with me and Choma to discuss more on this very sensitive issue is Cyril Abaku. Thank you so very much for being around with us today. Now, particularly, I want to do a little bit of a comparison here. The landlocked country of Rwanda is hugely based its income into the country from tea and currently tourism. The minimum wage for a rural dweller in Rwanda is $160 in a month. In Nigeria, the labor is asking for 615,000. And of course, that's just up there. Of course, there's still the chances of them dwindling down. The federal government is saying 54,000 naira, which of course is less than $40. Now, why do you think there is so much disparity, knowing that a country like Rwanda is hugely based on tea and tourism, while Nigeria is, and Nigeria is solely, with oil, which of course is one product every country would wish to have.
Well, so this is the ideal economy you're talking about. But in the real economy, Nigeria produces and basically deals in corruption. Don't let's call it any other name.
Why do you say that?
Yes, but that's the real economy. It's like when Italy added prostitution and gambling also to their GDP. Because it's happening. So they added it. Morality aside, perhaps I won't have, but they did. So, but it's the real, in Nigeria, the real economy is corruption. So, yeah, so we need to put that in perspective so that we don't use the wrong indices to arrive at what will never be. Now, having taken that out of the way, Rwanda, that you now see how our own exchange rate is such a criminal enterprise. Because in Rwanda, you said $165 or $160
a month.
Dollars a month. Yeah. If you convert that to Nigeria, in Nigeria, $1 in Nigeria is around 1,000 naira. 1,000 naira more.
So we're looking at 160,000 naira for a rural dweller.
You get the picture. But our calculation, and that is even the official rate.
Yes.
Because in the unofficial market, which we really deal with, the rate could be a lot more higher. Could be a lot higher. So the reality is that we are not even the federal government. Now let's come back to the issue on the table. The meeting that was adjourned. Henry, again, because experience must teach us certain things, right? I am not so enamored of what Labour is doing. Number one, Labour has willy-nilly allowed government to drag it for 1 year without fixing the minimum wage. Now, the question any sincere, open-minded person will ask is, if workers have been managing and coping for 1 year without a minimum wage, why can't they cope for another 10 years without minimum wage? That's one question. What is the NLC's answer to that? Because The NLC itself, for the past 8 to 9 months, has adopted a curiously worrying strategy of saying, we're embarking on strike, and they'll give 21 days notice, 14 days notice, a notice that is even you will forget that there's a notice. And when this day comes for strike, some will say the strike held. Some will even say the strike didn't hold. Because they say the strike begins today, May 22nd. By 11:30, you will hear the following morning that the strike was called off at midnight of the previous day. Or 11 p.m. of the previous day. That government had either made or government had given assurances. And I'm wondering, what are assurances? Who eats assurances? If you put assurance on the table, will you classify it as a vegetable, as a fat, as a carbohydrate, or as protein? What do you mean by assurances? It doesn't come to anything. So these are real issues. Okay? These are real issues. Now, the federal government first came. Tripartite committee, the private sector said, organized private sector said, that they had already been paying 70 or so thousand naira to Norway. Federal government brought 54,000 naira. Labour worked out. To tell you that working out didn't mean anything
to the federal government.
To federal government. Now, at yesterday's meeting, 2 things happened. One, the governors were not there. They didn't deem the meeting important enough for them to attend. Because they don't consider labor to be able to provide consequences. Then the federal government now came and said, you are offering how much now? No.
They started from 48 to 50.
Now, sorry, they first ordered 48 back then. Yeah. Now they said 54 yesterday. Yeah. And Labour said this thing can happen. Federal government. Do you know that when they say federal government speak, one person said, it's not me, it's the other person. I'm telling you what happened on the meeting yesterday. But the other person, no, it's not me, it's you. No, it's you, it's not me. That's what the first did. The first did, no, it's me, it's you, it's me. Then the minister said, okay, don't worry, I'll speak. 54,000. The other 6K to it and said 54,000. That's why yesterday's meeting, man. The governors are not there.
Yeah.
Now, when you're not in the room when a decision is taken, in which you can say it is not binding on you, what will you normally say? It's not because of lack of goodwill and determination to pay. The governors were not there. So if they say that they were not there and it's not binding on them, they can choose not to pay. Because it looks to me that the governor's own attitude also is to avoid paying a minimum wage as much as possible. Otherwise, why won't you be there? Or why will you come out and say, as they've done in the past, the minimum wage is not binding on us, we won't pay? Now, taking the matter further deeper, when they now said 54,000 naira, there is no data, there is no analysis backing up why they have to pay the amount they are saying they are going to pay. Why are you going to pay? Labour said family of 6, distance to work, monthly savings, pension, etc. But the federal government is the only one that does not have any calculation
to why they arrived at.
To how they arrived at the number that they arrived at. Now, that's a very bad way to run government, if you ask me. It's terrible. Like, there are things we can't, even a father that wants to give his children money for, what we used to call loosely called pocket money. You look at the child's age, the class, distance to school, and then so if you're giving transport and money for feeding, you calculate it. You don't just wake up and say, your money for feeding this week, today is 15 naira, take. What will the child do? So in the last meeting, we were told that the organized sector, private sector came and said, based on analysis, this is what they can pay. Now, why Labour rejected this money was because Labour said that for them, the average worker was already earning 70,000 naira. In Lagos, the governor spoke to that effect sometime. In Edo, the governor said 7,000 naira. Okay? So if they accept 54,000 naira, it will amount to minimum wage reduction negotiation and not minimum wage increase. You cannot go in and agree on what is less than what people are already earning.
Very true.
So is it that the federal government is just dragging the matter unnecessarily? Or, me, I feel it's a matter that they can decide in one day.
Yeah.
Without even having to come to a physical meeting. Just convoke a Zoom meeting. People are, I mean, if the intention to work is there, they will work. But what they are doing now, well, Henry, do you blame them? If you spend 500 million to organize a meeting, you can't meet only once. What am I going to, you can't meet only once. You will have to meet again.
Separately.
And every day you meet, maybe there's sitting allowance, there's catering allowance, there's
accommodation
inconvenience allowance, there's transport. So all you have to exhaust the money. That's like I'm going to be negotiating a ridiculous wage. What, and even NLC said that the wage they're proposing is less than, didn't even hear what Governor of Edo said he was going to pay? 54,000 naira. For me, it is criminal. Now, the federal government also has to do one thing. We need to strategically spell out our objective, what we want to achieve as a government, and what caliber of worker can help us to achieve our goal. Is it that, as a federal government worker, it should be antithetical for the worker to create wealth, personal wealth? Is it one against the other? That because you work for federal government, let's look at somebody who works for the civil service of, let's say, America. Now you talk about Rwanda, okay, and Nigeria. So comparatively, you work in Washington, I work in Abuja, and the other one works in what's the capital of Rwanda now? Kigali. So let's bring them together. How do they behave? What's the economic behavior? Because money has a way of creating confidence in people, creating self-reliance, okay, creating independence of mind, so that they would have to think of coming to work to come and steal what. Although high salaries are not a buffer for theft, but I think they go a long way in helping to, give the worker a healthy self-image. So what exactly is the minimum wage trying to do? Is it money for transport or money for defining who the Nigerian worker should be? Because what you earn has a way of defining you in terms of your taste, where you go, what you can do, who you meet with. Okay, there's a reason why some jobs people come with official car and stuff like that, so that the worker is able to think at a certain level. What is the minimum wage intended to define in Nigeria? Maybe we should begin from there.
Very true. Very true.
Okay, thank you, Cyril. Now, looking at the current analysis you just gave, with the federal government not even giving them a listening ear, do you think the May 31 deadline, the federal government would listen to them? Or even if they are to go on the strike, do you think it would have an effect? Because Nigerians are not getting used to the strike without even it holding water. Now, with this current state and with the current state they are with the federal government, what do you think will be the outcome from May 31st?
I have a suspicion which I don't want to put out on TV, but you are asking me a question that will lead me to say it out. May 31 is just another day. I don't know what is special about May 31 being workers. It was actually May 1. When federal government said that they are going to release a minimum wage likely on May 1, I said May 1 is not a spectacular date. The worker will be hungry before May 1, on May 1 and after May 1. There's nothing special about May 1 introducing minimum wage. What you should even do is you should have declared minimum wage like December or whatever, and on May 1 give them a bonus, a one-off bonus. Better than talking about, May 1. Now, what the NS now say May 31 as a minimum wage determination, or they go on strike. I tell you what, you see the first one, Labour worked out. Second one, they've adjourned to tomorrow. Labour didn't work out. Are you observing the trend? Look, 6,000 naira is not a lot of money. If you hold 6,000 naira in your hand today, the money can finish within an hour.
Very true.
So I don't know why Labour didn't work out again. Now they've adjourned to today. What are they really looking for? I fear that talks are going on not only on the table, but talks are also probably going on behind the curtain. I suspect so. So that is why it may happen that in the end, a script just played out. I'm sorry. from 48,000 naira that they worked out to 54,000 naira that they didn't work out again, and they've adjourned to today. It looks as if now they are trying to come to an agreement already. And that's not to forget that Labour kept its own bargain at 615,000 naira, at more than 500,000. And now for 54,000 naira, they're willing to come back the following day to come and have a discussion. Which means they are not looking for more than maybe 7,000 or 75,000 naira at minimum wage. It will be a shame, though.
Very true. Now, the question is, so many pundits and loyalists of this administration would come out to say issues of deflation and its importance to any economic strategy. As we have it today in Nigeria, inflation is up there. The cost of goods, products, and services up there. At this point, if we get to increase the minimum wage of Nigerians across the board to a level where there's so much liquidity, don't you think that would further, step up the inflation that we already have it this bad?
Well, minimum wage negotiations don't necessarily have to always be minimum wage increase. It could be, government could come and say today that we fixed all the roads, power is stable, infrastructure is in a good place. Therefore, we're going to reduce the minimum wage. Labour will sit down and negotiate. But just that in Nigeria, everything tends to keep on going up. It is not the business of Labour to be sympathetic or concerned about whether inflation will double or not. Their own concern is that you have taken away subsidy, you have to increase salaries. It's basic. Subsidies were meant to cushion the impact. And so if you've not fixed roads, fix refineries, fix anything, even CNG, you've not done it, and you say you want to, for us, give us more money. If I was spending 60,000 naira per month and you take a subsidy off, and prices have gone up, give me 80,000 naira so that I can maintain. So what the economic planning is for the government to go and do. If government had achieved deflation instead of inflation, they can come and say reduce your wage, and Labour will sit down and reduce. So as far as Labour is concerned, they are after their own personal survival. It's not, and that for me, I think is a fundamental human right. They're fighting for their own survival. If government has done what it should do, if local refineries are now pumping out petrol, look at my government said that Port Harcourt refinery will start producing in July. Port Harcourt refinery. If July comes and they're pumping out enough petrol that's able to beat down the price of importation, and maybe because of Port Harcourt now they start buying fuel at 100 naira per liter. Maybe in Ueli, in Lagos and all these places. Voila! 6 months later, government comes and says, okay, we have been able to steadily maintain the price of fuel at 100 naira and it has come down. Therefore, minimum wage should also do what? Come down. They will say that and talk. But where prices are going up, Labour will simply say, okay, and the cause of prices going up is you, government. Increase our wage to meet up with inflation you've already cost. For me, it's basic. Government should have dealt with infrastructure, dealt with insecurity. How can you tell me that 50 people were killed in Plateau State? And the killers have run away. When they got the phone calls, I said, Henry, I'm Chama, I find these things a bit unlikely to be. So there are drones. We don't have gadgets that can pick up these things in the skies. We can't see these things. People are grouping and going to attack. No intelligence was picked. We don't ever see it coming.
Now, it's often said that he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. This might be a little bit out of the circumference of what we're talking about. But I'd love to ask you, at the point when Joe Ajaero is beginning to become concerned about political involvement, what do you think, and how do you think the Labour would have to maybe work with this proposition they are offering to government in order not to make it look like Joe Ajaero, who is administering or in charge of the NLC, is trying to thwart the actions of the federal government? Okay,
so in the past, this ACN, the APC, then as ACN, colluded with the NLC and all these trade unions to pull down Jonathan's government. We can't forget also that unit of the protest now. They were the ones who went behind and did all the things. Now today we hear they're telling us that it was all politics, right? That there was merit in that cause. Jonathan was fighting for that. If we had taken subsidy off that time, by now we wouldn't have been here. So that was what they did back then. If it's happening to them now, I could really look there. But that's not even the answer. The answer to the question, which we run out of intelligence, is this: labor unions are what we call pressure groups. There are political parties, but they are a pressure group. Now, as a pressure group, they have the right to hold government accountable. It is a responsibility to do that, fighting for a cause that is really not political. But even in the political sense, they have the right to vote and be voted by if they so wish. Okay? So to that extent, that maybe I'm trying to them only the Labour Party and things like that. If they are able to, of course, if they say Tinubu has not done us well and they can form the Labour Party or join a party or back a party that wins the election, it will be in the hope that their party, that person that wins the election will not give them policy that favor their cause. It happens in Tunisia. You can't win an election without the unions. Even in France, the unions play a very important role. The unions can grant a government and almost like a government. When, where you have parliamentary democracy, labor unions can hold on to an action for a month or thereabout. And if the strike has continued for a long time, the parliament will pass a vote of no confidence on the prime minister. He will resign and call for snap elections. So it happens, everywhere. This is really democracy. In a way, what labor is doing is part of the democratic process. Holding government to account. Okay? If one deletes another thing, that is only a consequence. But you can't blame labor for it. So that's how I see it.
Very true. See, Chioma, this brings me to this issue of why Nigerians in droves would love to escape this country. If in fact it's often said that if the floodgate of Nigeria is opened, even His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu would even love to japa out of the country.
Because looking at the current state of things and this minimum wage, there's no hope for the young generation coming up, and they feel the best thing is to leave to other countries that are promising and have them in mind with their policies, because the policies of the government are not thinking about the upcoming young Nigerians.
And talking about upcoming Nigerians, these people aren't even talking about, there are lots of school kids now walking to school very long distances because their parents can afford that little stipend for transport. And it's so very unfortunate. And like we often say, if the society is well off, the leaders also will be well off. But when we have a society where people are crying, where people are going through, so much, I don't think any responsible leadership would love to sleep with their two eyes closed. We pray that the federal government will see reasons with the Labour Party. Thank you so very much, Cyril.
Thank you,
for being part of our show today. It was really an opener and a very great discussion with you. And also, we also want to thank you for making our time every day, any day, to be part of our show today. Please do well to visit our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com, and also like, comment respectfully, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igwibike.
I am Chioma Dorcas.
On behalf of the entire team of Enterprise Television, thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Rise and early. Bye-bye.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.